Peace, 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 y'all, to the guys and goddesses. You guys, welcome back to another episode of Raw Conversation, and welcome to our panel discussion for this week. We're super excited because this is a continuation of our last live, which was Healing the Sacred Divide between sexuality and spirituality. So I'm super excited to tap in and have everyone with us. We do want to go ahead and start off with a prayer from Fuka. So if you want to go ahead and start us off, I'm ready.
Thank you very much, Kai. I will begin. Okay, let's pray. Oh, wonderful creator of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of our mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with your desire. Endow us with wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglements of past mistakes. Don't let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the possibilities of the present moment. For you are the ground, the fruitful vision, the birth, the power, and fulfillment. As all is gathered and made whole once more, let it be so. Amen.
Ashe. Ashe. Okay, let's go ahead and get on into it. So I wanted to start off by just kind of highlighting some things that we talked about last week. So if we want to all kind of tap in and just kind of go over those things, you guys, when we're done with the live, I am going to post that link to our last live in the comment section because I forgot to do that, but it's all good. But let's go ahead and start off with Crandell. If you want to go ahead and what was some things that you had taken from our last live?
Well, one thing I definitely took from the last live is that you have to learn to maintain a sense of self-control when it comes to pleasure. You know what I mean? Overly pleasurable experiences kind of hinder your energy. It kind of blocks you a lot from things that you're supposed to be seeing, whether you're stuck in lustful ways or whether you're just overly attracted to someone. Not saying that it's a bad thing to be attracted and want pleasure, but you have to find a balance within yourself first before you check yourself or wreck yourself. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be indulging in too much of anything. Too much of anything is a bad thing. You know what I mean? So learn to use it more sacredly. You know what I mean? And use it for, not only just the pleasures of you getting off, but the pleasures of you manifesting and building with that energy as well.
Absolutely. Actually, I agree. Actually, that was something I was going to say as well, as far as,
Yeah.
One thing I took from the last live was just understanding that sexual energy goes beyond just sexual experiences or sexual intimacy, but it's an energy, and it's a very powerful energy that should be treated as such, as sacred, and not something that we just kind of give off to everyone or not learn to cultivate. So, yeah, I love that. I love that. So, Gia, what was something that you took from our last live?
From the last live, we had the opportunity to kind of look at how spirituality and sexuality have never really been something that was apart, even though in the modern world it seems like it's two separate things. But in history, we went through the history, we saw that it was always something that was together and, like you guys said, sacred and should be respected. So I appreciate us going over that last time, and I hope, I'm excited to see where we go in this time.
Yes, agreed. And so, how about you, Cecilia?
Well, that Crandell pointed out, Gia and yourself, I'll piggyback off of that, but to add to it, using that sexual energy to manifest, and manifesting with intention and purpose in your lives and creating and what that entails. So, that's it.
Yeah, and then Fuka.
Agreed. Jumping off of what everyone said, that sexuality is sacred, not something to not a toy to be played with, you know what you call this, you know. It's only in recent time that, you know, in history it has always been treated as something sacred, you know. And I remember when we were speaking about healing, you know what you call this, the two things that we highlighted was one, intention, and the second thing, love.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. I got that. You know what you call this, as ways of healing that divide, you know,
Yeah.
between sexuality and what you call this, spirituality.
I say. And then so yeah, so I'm excited to tap in again. And then also, you guys, we have two guests here with us. Well, Rex, you know, he's part of the team, but we do have a guest, Ife Divine. She's back with us, which I'm super excited about. And so they are here to join us in this conversation, and I'm super excited. So Rex, what's something that you are excited about for this conversation?
I'm excited to see what everybody ain't finna say. I don't even stutter. I ain't gonna. On God, I'm trying to see because all the points that y'all just made. The way I feel about like sexuality, especially over here in the West, is that it's become completely demoralized. It's just is what it is now. Hookup culture has taken over, and then now all it really is just it's really kind of like do whatever you want, and nobody can stop you. While at the same time, people love that, but then they crave intimate relationships. But they still, it's like they want something that they not actively, you know what I'm saying, participating in. So that's what I really feel like. So yeah,
That's a good point. That's an absolutely good point because it's
Yeah.
you know. Let's go ahead and then Ife, how about yourself? What are you excited about to talk about? And yeah, go ahead and
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm also excited to hear the different perspectives of you guys. I didn't get to catch the entire live last time, but I did hear some points. And I was like, oh, I really would have loved to be a part of that. Y'all really went into some good dialogue, and I do agree with everything y'all were saying as far as like the way everything's being demoralized, being not being so reckless with sexual energy and all that. Like, I think this is a really dope conversation. I'm just excited to dive into it.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and not waste no more time here. Thank you guys for tuning in. So make sure you guys subscribe, follow us on YouTube and also Facebook, and into us all individually. So let's go ahead and tap on into it. This, like I said, it's a continuation of last week's live. So let's go ahead and Fuka, actually, would you like to start us off?
Okay, okay. You know, so I I've been thinking about something, you know, what you call this, you know, thinking about something, you know, like marriage, you know, what you call this, marriage, you know. And actually, we did actually speak about this, you know, what you call this, on the previous thing. You know, we spoke about how you know, what you call this, the act of intercourse between a man and a woman, you know, what you call this, brings them together. They start to speak like one another, behave like one another, you know, what you call this. And someone said, you know, sometimes they even start to look like one another, you know, what you call this, you know. And I have always believed, you know, what you call this, that that marriage and sex or sexual intercourse, you know, what you call this, are connected, you know. You know, even what you call this, after you get married, you know, they say you consummate the marriage, right? You know, what you call this. But for me, it has always been, you know, what you call this, that when you engage in the act, you know, what you call this, you know, to nature, to God, to the universe, you guys are officially saying, I do. You know, this is my wife, this is my husband, you know, and what you call this, in that way, we both consent, you know, what you call this, to be bound together, you know, in this union, you know, what you call this, you know, till death do us part. What do you guys think of that?
You know, I think that's a good point because I think that there's because this is a thing when it comes to that, I would like to ask you, for people who have multiple partners or who have they got multiple husbands and wives, like how would you explain that? Because I know that for myself, like especially coming through the Hebrew Israelite community, coming from that thing, but they do, like, some of them do believe that sex is marriage, right? And so but the thing is like, for those who are sexually active with multiple people, are you saying that you're binding yourself to all of these people, or can it just be one person?
Yes. I mean, we've sort of spoken about it. We what you call this, they speak about soul ties, right? And how, so you actually have bound yourself to all those people, what you call this, from the perspective of nature, what you call this, those are all your husbands, those are all your wives, and what you call this, you are bound to them, what you call this, by the laws of nature, maybe not by the laws of men, but by the laws of nature, you are bound.
Man,
But me personally, I see why a lot of cultures prefer marriage before sexual intercourse, because at the end of the day, everything that you bring with you, including those soul ties, including those ancestors, it's not like you just your own individual. No, both of y'all lineage has to connect at that point. Once y'all, you know what I mean? Once you make that soul tie and that soul bond. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like, a lot of cultures do that, because sex just takes away the whole spiritual aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because
Sex without the
you
marriage.
dealing with somebody, you fall in love with the yoni or the phallus or whatever. Are you really falling in love with that person? You feel what I'm saying? Because once they put that joint up in you, and y'all private parts connect, that is officially a soul tie. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that's why they are very strict in other cultures when it comes to marriage and sex, because they don't want that tied to their lineage before they know who their, offspring is marrying first.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. And actually, what you call this, considering that, what you call this, we are in the state, what you call this, where there is a bit of a decay, what you call this. Do you think that we should return to that, what you call this, and be, what you call this, that strict, what you call this, and teach that to our children, and, have that passed down the line, such that, what you call this, we can correct some of the, I guess, what you call this, some of the immorality, what you call this, that we have been seeing with the sexuality and the hookup culture, what you call this, and treating something so sacred, what you call this, as if, it's a plaything, a toy.
I personally think that it should be like an initiation from elders that have also walked along that spiritual journey, that'll walk those two down their spiritual journey to see if they even connect with one another first. You know what I mean? Even before they get married, it should be like a ritual, an initiation into just a coupling first, and then they go through their trials, whether it's spiritually or physically, to even see if they're ready for marriage. And then if they're ready for marriage, then they'll be ready for intercourse afterwards. You feel what I'm saying?
That's how it was originally, though. That was that. Remember, there was a courting period. There was
that's
courting.
What I was just about to say.
I'm gonna hook up with this one. I'm gonna hook up. It was a courting period, and it wasn't just you, the guy, courting the girl. The families were courting each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was everybody getting in and understanding who these people are and will they fit in with us, and all the, like, there was a digging into each other and combining of the two families. So that's how it originally was. We moved away from that, and that's why, this whole I'm gonna date 5 people at this. I could never do it. Like, first of all, I don't got that kind of energy. I was always a monogamous type of person. One person. We're finna see what we're gonna do here. But this whole idea of everybody's just accessible to everybody at the same time is just crazy to me. But it was always a courting thing. I'm gonna court this person, and my family's gonna court this person, and we're gonna merge the two. That was how it was originally.
Yeah, you're
That's literally
merging.
how I got here. My mom and dad, like I did my both sides of the family, they knew each other kind of growing up, and yeah, they got married and then planned me and everything. So.
Wow.
What you think about that, Rex?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. So all y'all points, all that shit makes sense. You see, I look at it like this, because specifically in the West has an extremely infectious nature. So check this out. So everything, we all know the Western people, everybody, all this shit started in the East, right? So it's like the West perverts every single thing that they can touch. You see what I'm saying?
That's
like
facts.
you gotta remember, the whole men versus women debate started over here, and then now it's in the UK, it's in South African countries. It's like our nature. See, because I have a friend that lives in South Africa. His name is Snow. He told me that you guys don't understand how much American civilization is affecting that whole region of South Africa. And like, I don't know if y'all seen the stuff I shared with the Asians, African American and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
I saw that.
It's a couple of black folks I follow that live in Japan, and they was like, a lot of those people in foreign countries grow up on our TV shows and movies and videos and stuff. So you got to remember, if the West is starting to pervert it and everybody else is growing up off of our stuff, eventually, like it's spreading, like the man versus women shit, it's gonna hit everywhere. So when it comes to like sex should be a sacred union, but now we live in hookup culture. You see what I'm saying? Like, polygamy is fine, you know what I'm talking about, if y'all got sense, but most people don't have it. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's already hard dealing with one man or one woman trying to get them to be faithful. So let's look at it from a very detailed standpoint. It's hard to be with just one man and one woman, right? You feel like it got to be some form of, you got to watch and make sure stuff. Then y'all got to make sure y'all stay in love forever, right? And that's in a relationship with rules, and they still do crazy shit, right? So you put them in a polygamous relationship where everybody has a whole bunch of like free spirit to energy with no moral backbone. So guess what that creates? More toxicity, more people that make a whole bunch of videos talking about they love this, but when you get in them people real life, it's the complete opposite. You know what I'm talking about? So it's really, the West really truly has perverted it a whole lot. That's what I think. So sex, it should be sacred, but as long as people feel like, let me tell you something, as long as these men feel like they can have sex and they ain't got to do nothing, as long as these women feel like they can still get whatever and they ain't really got to do too much, we can never get the sacred sexual act back, because people too comfortable to get up and make a change. It's too much benefit to everybody that they think. You see what I'm saying?
You know,
So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. And, you know, even the idea of, you know, going back to like arranged marriages and stuff, that takes a lot of, you know, so that takes a village that is all in alignment.
Yeah.
And it takes two, you know what I'm saying? It's not just one party. So we're talking about being on this side of the world and having those types of arranged marriages to where we, you know, we want to do things based on alignment and all those things. But we're trying to get back to that as individuals. So it would take a while for us to get back to a place to where we have multiple families that are on the same wavelength, that are working together in unison in that way, and are in alignment spiritually, mentally, you know what I'm saying, and are able to find another family that's on that same wavelength.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You know why I say it's not that hard to get to that? And I understand what you're saying, because it's like, oh, we can do that individually, and it needs to be happening on a collective level within the Western world. But the same way that we saw that within like 2-3 years, all of a sudden there was conscious parenting, and everybody's conscious, and that became a wavelength. We just need enough people talking about it and enough people act. And within a year or two of that happening, it can become a thing. It's not impossible.
I think it will. I think eventually. I mean, I think that as a collective, we're gonna get there anyway. You know, it's all, the history is gonna repeat itself. All this bullshit is gonna go to the freaking, like, you know, be destroyed before it gets built back up. And I think that eventually we'll get to a place where there's more conscious beings than unconscious beings. But I think that in this moment, it's just kind of like we're not in that space. We're still working on ourselves to even create that lineage that's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing when it comes to doing any of that is morality. So if everybody see, nobody is really preaching that strong moral ethic code, because see the thing about it now, especially with like spiritual people, this whole we don't know what's good and bad, anything could be considered this. That's a lot of people aren't morally stable to handle that truth, right? Because that is truth overall. So you get a whole bunch of people that aren't morally stable, that don't really care to be morally stable. You have to have people having a clear line of what's right and what's wrong. Like, I wouldn't do you like that. You wouldn't do me like that. Because why are families being destroyed? Because somebody, whether it's the man or the women, is something that keep coming between them, that they just feel like they can't work out. They got to leave. They got to let go. So if there's no strong moral code, like I'm not going to do my woman like that, I'm not going to do my man like that, you got to remember, you ain't going to have nothing. Because it's all about y'all coming together and staying together. But if you ain't taught or preach morality, that's the entire backbone of society has to be taught about morality, like what's good and what's bad. Because look what happened now that you've let them just say we've separated from religion a lot. Look what's happened to them now. They just say and do anything because there's no true foundation. At least with religion, there are it is I don't mess with it, but it's the foundation. Because remember, the more we went away from Christianity, what happened to people? The rappers got more demonic, the women got more sexual, the men got more sexual. Everybody started becoming more of like a friend enemy type of personality. You see, once we left something that was structured, we started to become more chaotic. So if morality is not the backbone, nothing could ever come to fruition. Because nobody, if a chance presents itself for somebody to get something better, the human nature normally is going to take advantage of it. So that's how
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, or what you call this, Rex. I love what you're saying, you know, and you're right, you know, what you call this, because, you know, Caucasians did this thing, you know, what you call this, where they separated the church and the state, you know, what you call this, you know, and you know what you call this. Now suddenly governance was separate from morality, you know what you call this. And actually now what you're talking about is actually very important, you know, and that actually brings me into the nature spirit, you know, of the Cushitic tradition called Ma'at. Have you guys ever heard of Ma'at? Have you guys ever heard of the 42 confessions of negative confessions of Ma'at? Have you guys heard of the 42 ideals of Ma'at? So, you know, that's actually, you know, so I see an opportunity here, you know, with our people moving away from Christianity, you know, Christianity, which has links back to Rome, to Constantine, and the agendas that Constantine had, you know, what you call this, is I see it as a good thing, you know, and what you call this, what that us moving away from that, you know, what you call this, gives us an opportunity to move into the realm of Ma'at, you know, what you call this. We need to find out about the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, the 42 ideals of Ma'at. We need to, what you call this, speak about the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at with our wives, our girls, our children, our husbands, you know. Ma'at is what you call this, is law. Ma'at is truth. Ma'at teaches us how to take responsibility. Because if you ever see the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, you know what you call this, is I have not stolen, you know. I have not made another cry. I have not stolen food from children. I have not, you know, it actually, you know, what you call this, the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at is where the Constantine and Christianity got what you call this, what are they called? The Ten Commandments. Exactly. You know what you call this. So in African spirituality, that is the foundation of law, you know, and what it does is that it brings accountability to every individual, because right, you have to be accountable to yourself, you have to be accountable to Ma'at, you know what you call this. When you make those confessions, you know what you call this, you have to be honest, you know what you call this, because one of them is I have not spoken lies. So you know what you call this, you have to be honest. It's a conversation with yourself, really, you know what you call this, with your actions, you know what you call this. You look at yourself, you know what you call this, you know, you cannot lie to yourself, you know, you can't say what you call this, I have not lied, you know what you call this, when you know you stole Sally's what you call this pen yesterday, you know, you can say it, but you know you're lying, you know what you call this. There's a need, you know what you call this, to be conscious about my art, to elevate my art, you know what you call this, to raise the consciousness of others around us about my art, you know what you call this, to make the negative confessions I guess, you know, an everyday thing, you know what you call this. And actually in the case of Black America, you know what you call this, it needs to become a trend. You know why? Because once it becomes a trend in Black America, it becomes a trend in the influencer space. What happens? It is going to reach beyond the USA. It's going to reach Canada. It's going to go into Mexico. It's going to go into South America. It's going to come here onto the continent. It's going to go to Asia. And what's going to happen? Now everybody is going to be speaking about my art. Everybody is going to be speaking about the negative confessions. Everyone will be speaking about, you know, what you call this, the ideals of my art, talking about being kind, talking about being conscious in your conversations, talking about all of that comes with the 42 negative confessions and the 42 ideals of my art, which is actually, you know what you call this, I would say the best legal structure that has ever existed.
Hey, and you want to know something, Fuba? Let me support your point. Everything that you just said, and I want everybody to pay attention to it. He brought up a whole structural system that is about morals and discipline and adhering to those laws and principles, right? So what he is saying is that basically, you know what I'm talking about, that has to be widespread. But think about it, it's still a structured containment, right? Because if you let people do stuff on their own, I'm telling you, people are just gonna do whatever.
Yeah.
You know, no, you said something, Kai?
Yeah, because you know, without that structure, without that foundation, that's why I don't knock, you know, religion to an extent, because everybody needs something to believe in to an extent. Because if you don't have that, we tap into that animalistic nature and we turn like, you know, you're in that unconscious mind and you start doing whatever, and then you see society going nuts like it is now. So we absolutely need that foundation, because if we don't, we're like a child in a freaking candy store, and there's no discipline, there's no like you know what I'm saying?
And you want to know something? See, one thing I know about the West is the West, they try to act like they be conservatives, but the West is really almost completely liberal. And nothing is, I consider myself to be like a conservative liberal person. I agree with things on both sides. But the thing about it is, what does liberal mean? It means to liberate from something, right? Yes. So you got to remember, the most people, they take it like we are one of the few countries in the world to argue about what is a man and what is a girl as far as like gender related problems. You have some of the most scholarly, intellectual people sitting down saying, well, if I feel like I'm a woman, then I am one. Like look at where the conversations, the debates, and the arguments have led. And then now this same energy is influencing, like, America is like the movie of the world. Everybody's watching us because they think this is the mecca of the melting pots, right? So whatever starts here, it eventually influences the world. So like Fuku was saying, the 42 laws of Mayats. So the thing about that is like the structural foundation, that is the only thing, like you just said, Kai, religion is what keep our ass in check, right? It's really the rules, and it's also the fear of death. You see what I'm saying? Because what kept people in line in Christianity so long? I don't want to sleep around. I don't want to kill. Because they were scared to go to hell, right? Now they ain't scared of shit. And look what happened. They will do anything.
Yeah, and even so, we forget that there are laws to the universe. You know, whatever you put out there, it will come back. So just because you don't believe, the people are trying to, push aside just any kind of moral compass that they could have to live the way that they want to live. But there are consequences, whether you are aware of that or not, or whether you choose to acknowledge that or not. So
there's tangible consequences. We can
Oh
see
yeah.
the
Oh
consequences.
yeah. That part too.
Even in like, let's go back, right? Let's go back to the 70s, 60s
Go
and
ahead.
70s, right? Where there was no separation between, I don't forgot exactly when it happened, the separation between church and state, but let's go back to like, I think it was the 70s, they didn't have that, right? 60s and 70s, they didn't have that. You know what else they didn't have? Sex ed in schools, right?
Yeah.
Because they were very church focused. I know we're saying, because that's what we know. We should be more going towards I'm going to use what we know, right? And so there was the percentage of children getting pregnant, engaging in these kinds of things was non-existent. As soon as they redid the church and state thing, they separate that, they remove that foundation from the children and now introduce early sex ed. And now it's just a hot mess. It is. It's just gone crazy.
Yeah, you're introducing them to a life, like something that they shouldn't even be worried about. You know, they should be learning morals and values.
Yeah.
And not only that, y'all,
themselves. And it's just like, you know, and I opted out for my kids. I see, you know, you can, you know, as a parent, and if you experience, you could opt out of those types of classes because they're too young. They're bright. Even if you look at the, I think it's, I'm not sure if it's in Jewish tradition or like the Kabbalah or the Zohar, but basically in Jewish traditions, when they would teach about the Kabbalah, they wouldn't even teach you until you were about 40 years old, right? Because to them, your brain wasn't even fully developed till at least 40 years old. So imagine us this society giving all of these children this type of information that they really shouldn't even be obtaining in the first place. They're nowhere near prepared for that kind of information. So what are they going to do with it? They're going to be curious about it. You're teaching them, which, you know what I'm saying? Like in the Bible says, teach your child in the way that they should go and they should never depart from it. So if they're at school learning these things that are just not even relevant to what they should be learning, you're screwing them off from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying?
My bad, guy. My bad.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to kind of like, because I was just sitting here thinking about something as y'all was speaking, and it just gave me a little epiphany of why I am so happy that I do what I do as far as like my hobbies and cultivating gardens and working with Mother Nature, because how can we as masculine nurture anything spiritually or sexually when we don't know how to cultivate the biggest goddess around us, which is Mother Nature and Mother Earth? Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? You can plant that seed, but if you leave that seed out there dry all day and get no water, you feel what I'm saying? As a masculine, if my divine feminine is having cramps, then I should at least have at least one herb outside that can help her with menstrual cramps, right? And whether it's cinnamon, whether it's some ginger, simple things, peppermint, I should have at least an herb outside in my garden somewhere to help her with her menstrual cramps. You feel what I'm saying? I should not have to let her rely on pharmaceuticals for her to heal herself. That's how you bridge the gap between spirituality and sexuality. Becoming one with Mother Nature and loving her again. It teaches you how to love yourself internally and more spiritually. And then you can plant those seeds. What herbs will work for her uterus if she's having problems with carrying children? If she's having UTI problems, what herbs can I blend for her inside of a tea that'll help that UTI go away? That's when you know a masculine really cares about your body, that cares about your yoni, that cares about your spiritual health and physical health.
Beautiful. And I love what you're saying, Crandell. You know what you call this. You know, I think that's a wonderful message to all of our boys and all of our men. You know what you call this. That like connecting with nature. You know, is not this distant or intangible thing. You know what you call this. It's as simple as going outside. You know what you call this, and putting your hands on that earth. You know, working that earth, you know what you call this, plowing it, preparing it, sowing the seed, and what you call this, watering the seeds, and making sure, what you call this, to take care of that seed, what you call this, and actually, what you call this, it even goes to what you call this, learning what you call this, what masculinity is, because we've spoken about how masculinity, what you call this, is connected with, protecting and providing, so when you put that seed in the ground and you start watering it, you're providing, what you call this. When you protect it by de-weeding, what you call this, you are learning, what you call this, how to be masculine, what you call this. So in that, what you call this, you prepare yourself such that now, what you call this, when you come across your divine feminine, what you call this, that that what you call this, you have cultivated those abilities, what you call this, and she, just like that seed, requires that what you call this, that watering and that protection, what you call this, and provision, what you call this, and you, in learning that, what you call this, you learn to be in your natural state, you connect with nature, and then you will be able to connect with your feminine, with your woman.
Yeah, internally and externally.
Facts. And I just want to hear from Ife and Cecilia, but before that, just to go even further, do you know even some goddesses have at home births, and after that at home birth, they take that placenta, dig a hole in the ground, and bury that placenta?
Yeah. I want to do that.
That's how deep that shit get.
Yeah.
Do you know that is an ancient African tradition, That is an ancient African tradition. We've practiced that for millions of years, what you call this, so it's interesting that you say that, that's wonderful. And actually that's very powerful, what you call this, because in doing that, you connect your child, because that connects the mother to the child. Now, when you take it and you put it into the earth, what you call this, that's you connecting your child to the earth, connecting your child to nature, and what you call this, in doing that, what you call this, because that's I guess, it's a ritual, what you call this, but it represents something, what you call this, it's a representation of connecting your child to ma'at, connecting your child to morality, connecting your child to nature, connecting your child to the universe, what you call it, because the universe is not our enemy, what you call it. The universe, is our friend, The only folks who think that the universe is their enemy, that nature is their enemy, what you call it, are white folk, what you call this, and that's their culture. Our culture is to be in line with nature, to work with nature, to flow with nature, and what you call this, to be one with nature, to be one with the universe, what you call this. That's why the last ideal of my art says, I embrace the universe.
Ashe. Ife, Cecilia, what y'all think?
I was going to say that I agree with what you were saying as far as in order to bridge the gap between sexuality and spirituality, it is to get back in tune with nature and all that. Honestly, that's personally been my journey. You know what I'm saying? Just getting away from, like you said, the pharmaceuticals and all that, just relearning how to heal ourselves. Because a lot of us, it's due from a lack of knowledge. Some of us didn't have grandparents and people to pass down certain knowledge and all that, but literally getting back to the natural ways and just getting back to things that just are in alignment with nature, not just medicines and things of that nature, but just lifestyles. And I know that could be a whole nother set of conversations as far as things that are not natural within relationships and all that. But I do agree with that, like getting back to the ways of nature, really embracing the oneness that is between us and nature and the universe and all that. Like that is definitely a way to bridge the gap. Oh, I almost knocked my phone over.
Because we are all those things ultimately.
Exactly. And we separate ourselves from it.
It's a reflection of who we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Y'all done said everything that I wanted to say.
I know, that's why I was like, I don't really know what else to say.
My bad, y'all, my fault.
Like I ain't trying to be repetitive, but that's real talk.
But just to add a snippet to there, get in tune and touch with nature, ultimately get in touch with yourself is kind of taking that bridge out of you and the unnatural, the superficial stuff.
Yes.
And that's what we need to get back to, because there's a lot of superficial.
Now, since we're talking about the universe, I want to get back to Rex too. How much does our birth charts play a part in our spirituality, our sexuality, and dealing with those karmic relationships?
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Okay, well, check this. I'm glad you asked. So now, the crazy thing about it is there are some people who will never be spiritually enlightened ever, as far as this incarnation of them being on Earth, because you got to remember, I think it's Newton's law. Everything has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So it's going to be a lot of people who are against this shit, liberal like us. Then it has to be people that still feed the system, right?
Yes.
Because guess what happens? If you wake up too many people, it's going to turn to war, right? You see what I'm saying? Because eventually the government, you got to remember, because like if you liberate everybody, that means people finna stop buying certain shit. They finna stop going. The whole infrastructure is going to fall apart, right? So there are still people that need to actually be slaves to the actual matrix. So now when it comes to our birth chart, see everybody on here, a lot of people would think that like outside of this, but our spiritual practices, they would think we loony or crazy as hell, right? But in reality, the shit that we talking about really works and it actually makes sense, but it only takes a certain type of mind to understand it. And each one of our birth chart is some strong spiritual potential. Now, you might meet somebody else outside this live, outside of the fan base or whatever. They're going to think we crazy. But in our birth chart, but you see how a kind of more awakened type of spiritual person is in their birth chart versus the average common man and woman. They're not going to want to hear any of this. They might be completely religious and they don't even know how to be religious in their religion, right? So it's like, so it's now so it's like as far as our birth chart goes and how it plays into karmic relationships, you got to understand this. The seventh house in astrology rules relationships for everybody, period, right? Worldwide. So but guess what? The planet, remember, this is relationships for everybody be wanting. But the planet Saturn, the coldest, most harshest, most judgmental, restrictive, law-abiding planet, gets its strongest energy when it goes in there. Not sun of the soul, not Mars of sexuality, discipline and conformity and boundaries on what you and that person think gonna make the relationship work strong and last, right? See, everybody want fun. Saturn rules karmic energy, too, rules past life energy as well. So you got to remember. So put it like this. A lot of men and women, you're never going to find what you're looking for in this lifetime because you don't have the certain fruits from a past life to actually experience the good times you desire in this reality. So you can have a desire that, damn, I want this. Damn, I want the relationship. Damn. But it sometimes, more than likely, if you don't have the right karmas, it'll never manifest. And I tell people this all the time. There are plenty of people who you've seen in the past and now that die never getting anything that they ever really wanted. So what makes you so individually special that you should be able to have love, especially if you haven't, you know what I'm talking about, sold a lot of good shit in the past life or this life. A lot of people just out here hopping from relationship to relationship to relationship, thinking, but not doing no real healing. Because see, the thing about it is, you can do shadow work and all day, but if you don't feel like you was internally wrong and you really want to sincerely change, it don't matter how much you sit in front and say, I did this, I did that. You don't feel in your heart like you really was wrong and you still want to entertain bullshit. So think about it. In commit, they put your heart on the scale, right? If that bitch ain't as light as a feather, you know you finna go probably nowhere. You finna stay right there for all eternity. You see what I'm saying? See, everything comes from the heart and sincerity. So if you can't change the heart, because you gotta remember, the soul can change and become more open to certain things. If you can't change within, like put it like this, prime example. I tell women this all the time. Y'all know sometimes y'all don't want to give y'all dude some sex, but you'll give it to him anyway because his ass want it. You know what I'm talking about? So you feel like you gotta just lay there and shit. See, that's not sincere. But you doing it for him. You doing a good deed, but it's not really coming from the heart, though. You see what I'm saying? So is that a lackluster experience or is that a more fruitful experience, right? Which one do you think is more rewarding? A true internal pleasure or just I'm doing it because this nigga just, you know what I'm talking about? You see what I'm saying? So when you actually make real changes, if them motherfuckers do not come from within, you just don't even need to worry about changing karmic relationships, changing your life, really, because you're only doing it out of, like, put it like this: are you a good person? Religion told us this. Are you a good person because you're scared you're gonna go to hell? Or are you a good person just in your everyday life in general, right? Most motherfuckers, as soon as religion went away, they couldn't wait to be out here being hoes and killing niggas and doing shit. They couldn't wait. Because you gotta remember, so like when Foucault was talking about, if we would instill the 42 laws, Mayat, no matter what religion you are in, whatever, that shit would really work if we really like embedded that into the people's mind. But you got to remember another thing too, and I want everybody to understand this: the entertainment industry has a big hand in this shit as well. Because outside of our mundane lives, you know what I'm saying, everyday lives, people want to have fun. They gravitate towards these certain personalities, right? That's famous and shit, whatever. And guess what? The populace copies off of them, right? So it's going to take the people that everybody looking up to really hone in on their moral standard. So then it's like now we can experience our karmas probably way much more easier, because you might be on a karmic cliff, you know what I'm talking about? Like you might be going down the karmic back road, and everybody you watch is doing fuck shit, and you feel like, well, some people succeed, so you see how your mind is latched on what everybody else doing, so you feel like, y'all ever heard somebody say, well, I cheated, but everybody be cheating? No, everybody does not be cheating. You know what I'm talking about? Not every single person, right? So if we want to live our karmas right, how could we be in relationships when everybody look up to all the motherfucking, and even though we should, but everybody look up to all the toxic people in power, which tell you to do the complete opposite of what you know your heart want to do. It's some men and women out there that really want to love their women. As a man, you get called weak for loving on a woman. As a woman, if you care about anything a man say, you get called a pick me. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a whole bunch of different stipulations that go into that. But your birth chart for each individual, if you really want to make some shit shake, you got to really do what's best for you. And have many men and women that you want to date, as long as y'all contractual agreement, whatever it is, because Saturn is exalted in the house of relationships. Whatever binding agreement y'all have, y'all cannot break it. And that's how you start to alleviate some karma, for real. That's long ass information though, but I know y'all get that shit.
No,
I
I
got
like
a question for the goddesses now. Can I shift things over y'all way?
Yeah, because I like that he said that, because I actually watched the video the other day, and it was it just, it made a lot of sense to me, or just like, resonated completely, because, you have two different people in life, right? When we're talking about good people, we're talking about, because just because you do good deeds doesn't make you a good person, because there's people who are programmed to be good because of that's what they were taught to do, but it doesn't come from the heart. It's just because they just do it because this is what they were taught, right? But there's people who also intentionally, consciously make the choice to be a good person, even after knowing and seeing the darkness of this world, and they consciously choose and make a choice to be like, you know what, I'm going to treat these people right, I'm going to do this right, because I know the darkness too. And that's how you truly define a good person, because they've seen the dark and the light side and still choose light.
Yeah.
I got a question for the ladies now. When it comes to the spirituality and the sexuality, do y'all think it's important for both parties, being the masculine and the feminine, to practicing different rituals together? Do you think it's important when it comes to sexuality, doing certain rituals for sexual contact, or just affirmations while y'all making love, or how important is that in your eyes?
Absolutely, because
Heck yeah.
that's
No,
again, like
definitely.
last week, is that you can alchemize that energy of sex to heal, to uplift, to manifest, to do all of these things. It's
For the
not
collective, not just yourselves.
Exactly, and you can literally use this for ascension purposes. You know what I'm saying? So having those affirmations or doing sex magic to manifest or whatever, to create, to bring in or hone in on, that those types of things. What do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is where we step into intentional intimacy.
Exactly. I was gonna say go ahead.
No, go ahead, because that was my
Okay. I was like, I'll be all quiet. I was trying to get a little something in there while it was on my brain. No, I was gonna say that me personally, like, no, I do agree with like being intentional in all things. So yes, I really wish I could have been a part of that conversation last week. But like, no, I agree with that. Do that. Do the sex magic. Say your affirmations. Do your ritualistic things. Like, I've personally noticed a difference between just doing the act and then being more intentional with it and just seeing, like, especially if you do things like practice semen retention and all of that, if you're doing like tantric practices and all that, like when it comes to like manifesting, increasing your magnetism, that's what I be doing if I don't know anybody else doing it.
Yes,
But that's what I be using it for, and it is a very powerful tool. Like, if you're gonna be doing it, be useful with it, be intentional with it. You feel me?
Exactly, because if we're gonna treat it as sacred, we should be intentional with it. You don't just take sacredness and just put it in your hand and just, you know what I'm saying? It's like a freaking no,
not Netflix and chill.
Something sacred. If we're looking at something sacred, it's almost likened into something that's fragile, something that you take care of, something that you're very careful with, and you don't go out there just using it frivolously. You're not running around.
Literally.
Saying, like, you see the waitresses,
the music, the frequencies, the candlelight,
yes, all
the
that
scents, oils,
everything.
Absolutely. So why not being intentional and use sex as a way
we need to get back into that. That's the old school.
I'm talking about being intentional down to the freaking breath being synchronized. Come on now, like come on now.
It's even deep as to go, you know what I mean? To say that we bring our traumas into sexuality as well. You feel what I'm saying? Because we've all had our phases. I know I had my phase where I was moving recklessly, moving blindly, didn't have no sense of, the spiritual lessons and concepts I have now. But while doing all these acts sexually, I would always just think about my trauma of not having my mother and always wanting to be able to treat someone like how I would want my mother. You feel what I'm saying? And by me moving out of trauma while creating a soul tie, it created nothing but toxicity, nothing of me being a pleaser out of my trauma, and also not respecting the sacredness of the sexual acts. You feel what I'm saying? And that right there will cause you to do a whole spiral downward. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when y'all say be intentional, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like mentally replaying my old self and the old habits and the old traumas and things. And I can say, damn, you know what? I'm kind of proud of myself to this point that I've gotten today. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's as a masculine, because I want to, be that example for the masculine to say, it's okay. I've been through some trauma, and I use that trauma in negative sexual ways, trying to escape it. You feel what I'm saying? It's okay, fellas, to be vulnerable in those moments, because that's when you learn, like Rex been talking about, discipline about yourself. To say, you know what? I've been jumping from this person to that person to that person to that person through my trauma. Let me take a second to heal myself. I really don't want no sex right now. I've been pleasured all out. And then you go back and you look now to all that time you could have had, focusing on your goals, focusing on healing others, focusing on healing yourself, and you see how much time you truly missed. So the act of sexual intercourse is intentional, like y'all said, and it really ain't something to play with. Especially not nowadays. You get that who did it and ran, and you're through.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
You're exchanging energy. You're exchanging. You could be exchanging DNA. It goes so much deeper than just the pleasure, right? And so it's just like it could be a beautiful experience when you have two consciously aware people who are doing the inner work and who are transcending those pains and those traumas, and you use that energy to alchemize and to evolve or ascend and heal. right? But though to do it unintentionally and unconsciously could be a very dangerous game to play, because you're taking on the energy of that person. So you're not only dealing with your own trauma anymore, you're dealing with the trauma and possibly karma of another person.
Facts. Especially bringing kids into the world. You know what I mean? Because it's like now you done
Kids
pass
could be-
that karma down.
Oh, I got a
let's
question.
Let's go from
I
Ife,
got a
guys.
question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna because I don't want to forget it, but it kind of goes with what he was saying. So I was like, oh, I'm trying to hold on to it, and it's a good question. Anybody can answer it, but I really do want to hear from Crandall first, since you the one brought it to my head.
Right.
So, what are this again? It's for everybody. What are your views on? Because you were talking about bringing trauma in and all that. What are your views on things like BDSM and how some, not everybody, but some will utilize it in an almost healing type of way to like reparent the traumas they went through? Some people are just kind of living in it, but like some people are within that realm for different reasons. But I got my own thoughts. I'm just kind of curious.
BDSM.
Since you brought up,
that for me.
Oh God.
That means we tearing their ass up real hard.
We don't need your explanation of that. No, we ain't gonna say it like that. I'm just gonna say I already knew he was gonna say something. Okay, let me try to find a decent way to say it. But like for those that don't actually know what it is, I feel like a lot of people
these
do.
conversations
like,
raw. I want to hear it.
They are. Look, I'm all for raw conversations. I'm like, that's why I was like, let me get up on here. But things like participating in things like bondage, knife play, choking, spankings, daddy baby girl dynamics, you know what I'm saying? Mommy little boy dynamics, things like that.
Me personally,
yeah.
All right.
I mean,
look, I was like, let's bust it up in it. Let's go with it.
Okay. So, how I feel about that is, if you have the right mentality to use that in a sexual sense, it can be alchemizing. You feel what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree with that.
One person can push off the energy, the other person takes in the energy that's the pain and release it to the universe and alchemize it in whatever way they want to. Now, it could be a bad thing because if you're dealing with somebody that's not mentally there, and let's say they go through an episode of them being please forgive me, being molested or being raped or something like that. You feel what I'm saying? That could be very traumatizing. And imagine you being bonded up while somebody going through an episode of what happened to them while they beating on you. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to be very aware how a person is dealing with themselves mentally. And are they spiritually capable enough to use that energy in the right way, if that makes sense.
Have a safe word.
It does. Look, I was just gonna say, because again, for people that don't know what it is, and don't be asking me questions on why I know what it is. But anyway,
I done heard of domination stuff, but the
that's all I'm saying. But no, I was gonna say that, like, having things like safe words, or like really anyone that's real. Again, don't be asking me questions. I'm just being a part of the conversation.
You're safe.
Anyone?
You safe.
Hey, I'm very secure in myself. I'm secure in myself. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no shame in my game, because I know what I do and how I alchemize. But when someone who's like really in that type of the lifestyle with that, it's supposed to be with someone who can mentally handle it for that reason you said, in order to alchemize and all that. But so unless you're just being reckless, like, hey, I just want to try getting smacked up and choked every now and then, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could end up adding more trauma onto yourself. But the point is to, like, okay, say you were well, I don't want to use that as an example, but like, say you were choked at some point, and it may have been a traumatizing situation with your partner, be it like a dominant or whatever. With your partner, you can create dynamics where you will pretty much put yourself in that same situation, but you'll reenact it differently in order, you know what I'm saying? So that's why, like I say, with someone who's mentally ready to actually do what you're supposed to do in order to make it a healing situation, I see it being helpful because it is an alchemy situation happening there. But just being reckless with it is like, y'all just gonna be playing around with y'all traumas and just
that's not
having some fun with it. And it's like, it might be fun at the time, but you don't realize just how much mental damage you're really doing to yourself.
Right.
But it's meant to be for that reason. But some people still might think like, no, stay away from it because you just could be traumatizing yourself further. So that's not serious.
Most people who engage in those kinds of things, most people who's in that kind of play, that kind of community, it's all about safety and trust anyway. The real people who are in those kinds of spaces and communities, right? And if you by yourself, you just like, hey, babe, let's try. Like, you know what I mean? But most people who are really heavily into BDSM, it's all about safety and trust. So you're
exactly. It's all new to me. This BSM.
Yeah. Well, what you think about that, Rex?
That's what I was talking.
Rex got a clip loaded up.
I gotta get my whip out.
That's it.
No, like I'm too claustrophobic for stuff like that.
Hell nah, listen. If any woman come play with me with a knife, I'm called. I have my ass arrested. I ain't getting arrested. Move that sharp shit back.
We call it arrested. Don't come with no real knife.
You know what I'm saying? Sitting over there with a whole katana.
Cause you know what crazy? I had a woman told me she wanted to tie me up to some shit. I said, hell, I know. I'm not finna get tied to nothing. And what you finna do to me? I'm stuck in shit. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You know, and actually,
you gotta have trust in that person.
You have to have trust.
Yeah.
I don't got none of that shit.
You like, you ain't about to backdoor me, no sir.
She on go nigga phone, take all the cash app, leave, and I'm stuck to the bed. Hell no. What the hell? Gotta pay them folk back? I can no.
I think another one would be like, you know, intimacy outside, like in the forest or something, you know, and just.
Well, that's cool. I mean, but I don't know. Mosquitoes and shit. Nah, they
gonna tear your ass out.
Yeah, they be attracted to like sex and shit. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I'd be adventurous.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all think about? If y'all have ever tried them? What do y'all think about plant medicine as far as psilocybins,
highly recommend
kinds of mushrooms, and
highly recommended.
Sexually
10 out of
engaging
10.
while you on shrooms. Ife, you did the thumbs up. Maybe you could tell us about your experiences.
Look, I've had a couple of different experiences. I will say that. So don't just think like, hey, I'm gonna be tripping. It's just gonna be amazing. My first experience was that way. It was the experience already was eye-opening. It was already that. So for that, and honestly, how it started was we weren't even actually physical. It was like we were being sexual, but like we weren't even touching each other. But like we could, I don't even know how to describe it, but like, literally, it was so intense and amazing. But I will say, being that connected, and I don't know if it's just me and my own sensitivity, it unlocked some things that I was not prepared for. Like I started seeing some things involving my partner at the time, because I ain't with them no more. Pretty much after this experience, because some things were being shown to me in the midst of it. Like the energy was so heightened, I was showing things. And I mean, I'll just keep it a bill for the sake of telling you the experience. And like I said, I'm an open book with mine. But like I was having visions, basically of him cheating on me within having a sexual experience and on shrooms. So I was like, well, this is weird. But like literally that in tune with him to where I saw the entire thing, and I'm just like, well, this is awkward. And so like, so the very next day, I'm asking, you know, we good, you know, you feeling away by anything? Everything seemed cool and everything, but like even after that, it's like after I take plant medicine, like the sensitivities don't stop. once it's out of my system, it's like everything just remains heightened. And if anything, it almost feels like I'm still on them when I'm not on them. So like things were happening the next day, like almost coinciding with the experience I was already having. And lo and behold, it was shown to me the entire way, but like it did happen. It happened the very next day. And I was shown the whole way through visions leading up to it actually happening. And it's like, so I don't know if anybody else is that sensitive, but like being connected with a person like that, like you don't know what may happen. But that's the first time anything like that has ever happened to me. And I was like, wow, like it changed a lot, as you can imagine. But like it was crazy.
Wow.
But the first experience, like I said, is the one that everybody would want to experience on, and it very much is magical. Like it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. But that second one wasn't ideal, but I was still grateful for the experience, just to know, like, I like, that I could actually receive that, even though it was not desirable at all. But like the fact that I could tap into that, like I was grateful for that much.
Anybody else?
Man,
I would try it. I would definitely.
I want to try it eventually.
Try it.
Rex, you want to try a shrine?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm straight on. You know, I got that Pisces moon, man. Listen, I'm already in fantasy all the time, taking that.
Oh yeah.
That's why I say I'm gonna see some shit for real in this hoe and hit the wall. Thought it was a nigga right there. Yeah.
I like what Ife actually told us, because she spoke about how afterwards, it doesn't go away. You know why it doesn't go away, Ife? Because that's you. The shroom is not what gave you that vision. The shroom only put you in a state, to connect to something that is within you. That ability is your ability. The reason why it didn't go away when the shroom came off is because that's you. What that did, and that experience did, is only help you to connect to what is naturally you, to connect to yourself, and in that, connecting to the powers of the universe, because like Cecilia said, that, the universe is you, and, the universe is such that, I don't know if you should actually try this, because if you ever have a question, just ask, whether out loud, or in your head, I guarantee you, in some way, the answer will find you.
Yes.
The answer will find you, and that is actually the power of that experience. You don't actually need the shroom, because some,
Exactly.
they get
I wasn't saying necessarily needed. I was just saying, do you think
I get it.
Tighten up the experience? I think it would, like, if you go through, like, let's say we both go to an ayahuasca where we have a mediator there to both help us and guide us through that journey. I think that would definitely, like, help rather than, if you never did it before.
You mean individually, or you talking about on some group nuts? Anybody doing that? Ain't nobody doing that. I'm out there doing my thing with my partner, and everybody just there. No, the devil is.
No, not like.
I can't do that.
No.
You know what?
I was talking more so. I was talking more so along the lines of the spiritual connection, but
okay.
What I will say, I hear about retreats like that. I'm like, what are you doing?
But I have heard of people doing that as well too, though.
Right, in my house.
I mean,
yeah, all day in any place.
I gotta be comfortable,
but in the house, not out here in these streets. That's too much.
Yes. Pretty much what I was saying, is, plant medicine is good, but I'll say be wary of a reliance on the plant medicine, because the idea is that it must kick off your journey, but you must learn to get into that state without it.
That's right. I love that you said that. Yeah. I love that you said that, because so we, people do that all the time and are not even realizing that they're still leaning on another substance, something outside of yourself, because we can we do these things to get to a certain state, to get certain revelations, but you can get those revelations and get into those states. It just takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes discipline, dedication to continuously raise your vibration or your frequency to reach those states of consciousness, or breath work or whatever. But you don't need those things. All it does is like a fast track to what you already have within you. It never leaves, like you were saying, Fuka, but we don't, what I'm saying? Like we become lenient. It becomes almost like a drug, like alcohol.
A dependency.
It becomes like there's no difference, because you're still doing things to alter your state of being, and it's not your natural state of being.
Okay, hard question. This one that I know is going to catch y'all. Mm-hmm. Could you deal with somebody that pleases you spiritually and not sexually? And can you deal with somebody that pleases you sexually and not spiritually?
I can't deal with somebody if they can't. One thing I can't do is if they can't please me spiritually. That's something I won't compromise for anything.
Yeah.
Because if they know that
it's mental for me, and mental is spiritual.
Thank you.
Mental is the universe. Universe.
You're about to leave me down the freaking. I'm not like, if I'm gonna, have somebody over, like, as my head, or as my divine masculine. Now you ain't gonna be lead. You need to know what you're doing, because if I'm off, I need you to be on, and if you're on, or if you're off, then
that part.
I ain't trying to be on. I'm gonna mess up sometimes. So I'm gonna need somebody to be able to fall back on, and I need you to tap in and just.
I got me a burger.
What she said.
All right, Rex, where you at? Shorty fine, Rex. Shorty got shorty bad. She a 10. She got, you know what I mean? But her soul ain't, her spirit ain't really there, right? She please you sexually, but her spirit ain't there. Or she please you spiritually, but her sexuality ain't on point. Could you deal with that?
The last woman that I dealt with, I had to get her ass out of there. Listen, you just listen. At this point, as long as you don't get on my nerves enough, I'll teach you some shit. For real.
Let me learn something.
Yeah. Because
how about you, Tia?
They can be open to learning some shit, but you can't get on my nerve too much, honestly. First, like that shit for real. So if she please me mentally first, I'll teach her some shit. I'll be like, baby, let me see your chart. Yeah, we can sit down, read some shit, numerology. But other than that, like we've all dealt with a man or a woman that plead us sexually, but they want spiritual. That shit feel like a cage too.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like, it is a cage. Because vibration.
Yeah, because you'll sit there and be like, I'd be like, damn, you don't know shit. Yeah, I don't like to feel like that. Yeah, I don't like to feel like that. So, right. You don't know nothing. That shit irritating.
Yeah.
Like, God damn.
Bro, how about you, Gio? What do you think? Or you're already, but it's hypothetically.
I would prefer not to have to choose between the two. Lord, give me strength.
That's real.
That is real.
There's a name for it, and I can't remember the name. I'm something.
Sapiosexual.
It's here. It's here first. It's here first. Because if you ain't here, I don't want no part stuff.
Exactly.
So it is here first. So I guess I would take the spiritual if I had to choose between the two. The spiritual. At my grown age, I'm gonna say that. Maybe not, prior, but at the grown age, I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. All right, we'll take it.
Yeah. What about you? What about you?
Me?
For me.
Oh, you said me.
Cecilia. Oh no.
For me. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, Fuka.
Yes.
Yes. For me, I agree with you all. Spiritually first. Spiritually first. Please me spiritually, and then the sexual will follow afterwards. Yeah.
Cecilia, EK.
Yeah.
Are we talking hypothetical? Because I got both.
You said what?
Beautiful.
If you had to choose between the two.
Okay, thank you, universe. Okay, well, no.
I know. I was about to say I'm with Gia. Like, dang, why we gotta choose between the two?
Mental.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always gonna be that for me. I even put it in one of my songs. That's why I knew the term you was thinking of, because I'm sapiosexual all day. Like, if it's not doing it for me mentally, the rest of my body ain't even gonna work. It's off.
That's right. For me to even get to the point to where like you're even on the phone with me. You have
the phone. We can't. You got a solid 2 minutes, baby. What we talking about?
I seen even the ugliest niggas pull women.
I think I was saying this to you yesterday. That you can tell, like I can sit here and get on the phone with you for about 5 seconds. I can see where this is going.
Well,
I ain't about to waste my time. Look, you're a great person and all, but I don't think this.
Yeah.
Why?
No, but you know what?
There is. Oh, you a bot.
There's
basically.
There's a thing. Well, you have sex with her mind first.
Yes.
That is sexual. Talking or whatever. You have to have sex with you first.
Foreplay.
You never get anywhere else. I mean, there's others that whatever, but you have to have sex with her.
That's real foreplay.
That's the
exactly
foreplay.
And foreplay lasts all throughout the day. It ain't just right before that.
I know. Yeah.
Do it right.
You better feed it to me all day.
All day.
So how important do y'all think our past lives are to our spirituality and our sexuality now, right? Because we did go through past lives dealing with some situations. So how do y'all think that how important our past lives has to do with our views and outlooks on sexuality and spirituality now? Because I believe that plays a big part in how we deal with the opposite, energy.
Well, I think it's a continuation of a whole story. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're infinite beings, we're multidimensional. It doesn't stop. We're constantly evolving. And if there was like, you know what I'm saying? Like there is no cap to evolution. So it's just like we come into these lifetimes, we're learning certain things and different things each lifetime that we come. So it's always connected. You can't separate anything because, your past life, it's like I said, it's just a continuation how I see it. And so it's just like whatever you were doing in your past lifetime, you pick up where you left off in this lifetime. You learn what you didn't learn last time, or you work on what you didn't complete or master in your previous lifetime. So it's a constant state, or it's a constant evolution, or whatever that you go through in each time and time again, but it doesn't stop.
What you saying, Kai? We're not mortal? What you saying?
No. I'm saying we're immortal. It doesn't stop. We keep going. Like, it just like, it's a continuation of experiences.
Beautiful.
Can we just take a quick moment to take a pause right here? Want to throw it real quick to our sponsors, and then we'll pick right back up when we get back.
Yes, and I have a question when we come back, okay?
Awesome. We'll go straight to you as soon as we get back. All right. Hold 1 second. Let's go to our sponsors.
If you finally reached a place in your journey to where you are just over feeling not enough, you're tired of feeling trapped in a box that you've been put in, and just fed up with feeling disconnected from your higher self, please join me May 17th in my internally transformative, perspective expanding self-empowerment masterclass. This class isn't just about information, but transformation. Imagine feeling empowered and in control of your life and internal reality, more confident, self-assured, as well as finally having that deep sense of peace at all times, knowing that you are always just enough and your power is always within you. This 3D class is designed to give you a practical and easily understandable understanding on how you can overcome and rise above fear, lack mentality, insecurities, inner child wounds, and trauma so that you can reclaim your divinity and remember who you are in divine confidence. To lock in your seat in my Empower Me Masterclass, please visit www.sacredmelanatedalchemy.com and use discount code Kozmic Konnections at checkout to get 10% off.
Hey everyone, this is Gia and I've got a amazing deal for you. This is a chakra guide that you need to have. This chakra guide will help you understand, identify, and unblock each of your chakras. You'll learn about each one, its functions, what exactly the chakras do, and this will help you really be in tune with your body and how it corresponds with each of your body parts, internal organs, and all of that. You'll be able to keep a log of your chakra clearings and really understand how to unblock these chakras. If you don't know how to scan and clear out your chakras, this guide will give you a step-by-step instruction. So don't worry, I got you covered. This chakra guide is available now for download, and you can use the discount code Konnectionz for 10% off. Get your copy now.
How you doing, my beautiful brothers and sisters? If you're looking for an all-natural brand, the Ancestor Hands is that brand for you. I invented this brand to give people like me a great product at a lesser price and made sure I kept all the harmful chemicals out of my products. Ancestor Hands is more than a brand, it's a movement. So leave those chemical brands alone and come home to Ancestor Hands.
Ancestors Hands specializes in natural skin care products. Make sure you guys go visit www.ancestorshands.net. I promise you guys you will not be disappointed. I can say that firsthand as I have tried his products and they are superb. So tap in.
Yo, what's good, family? This your boy C, and here at Eyes Open Clothing, our mission is to leave every single customer with a smile. We aren't just your regular fashion company. We thrive on targeting our soul tribe, attracting positivity, abundance, good health, and new connections, and looking.
Y'all see the drip? Okay, you know how I had to call myself one. To my listeners, you guys can go visit www.eyeopenclothing.com to purchase your fit today. And last but not least, make sure you guys visit www.CosmicKonnectionz.com. If you guys are interested in having your business featured on one of our episodes, check out our website to view our sponsorship packages. Peace, y'all.
Hey.
All right, so if you guys are interested in any of our services, products, all the links will be in the bio or in the caption. So let's go ahead and tap back on in here. So I know that.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. You know, like love, actually. You know, the question is on love, you know, what you call us. And in my experience, you know, because I won't lie, you know, I have been exposed to a lot of media from the Western world, you know, and in the media, you know, from the Western world, you know, what you call this, you know, love is almost defined as an emotion, you know, but then later in my years, you know, what you call this, I heard this song, you know, and it went like this, you know, it was like, love is a verb, love is a doing word. So this actually, you know, what you call this, had me thinking, you know, what you call this, you know, because this is very different from what I had been thinking about love, you know, what you call this, because I always thought of love as an emotion, as this abstract thing, you know, but now thinking about, you know, what that song said, you know, what you call it said, love is a verb, love is a doing, you know, what you call this, you know, love is something that you do, not something that you feel, you know, what you call this. So I want to know what you guys think about that, you know. Is love an emotion? Is it something that you feel? Or is love something that you do? Is it a verb?
I think that, you know, I don't think love is an emotion at all. I think that we think that, I mean, you can absolutely have emotion or feelings that come up, but it's feelings come and go. And if we think or rely on emotions to describe love or think that that's love, then we'll be disappointed every time because those go away and they're not consistent. They fluctuate. you know, and love doesn't fluctuate. Love just is. And I feel like if we're talking about love, love is divine. And love is more of something that gives you peace. It's like a deep peace, a deep understanding of self or another person, or, you know, and it doesn't want to own you. It just wants you to be free. And, you know, and I think that we get so caught up in the emotion that we think that these intense emotions and all that, like, not like that's just excitement, it'll go away. But when you really know that you love someone, you really wish them the best. And you don't, it's a natural, unconditional love that can't be described. It just is. And you feel the energy of it other than the action or the word. Like you feel that intensity of that energy and that frequency of love. But true love is unconditional, and it's not about emotion. It's about the energy itself.
Gosh,
I
dang.
said, I
That's what I
felt
was gonna.
that.
Yeah, I agree
No,
with
go
that.
ahead,
It
Yvette.
being an energy, not necessarily an emotion, but you know, also something that you do, something that just is. That's actually what I was gonna say. Something that love just that it just is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that some people tend to confuse it with emotion because of the emotion that it gets tied to, like joy or, like you said, excitement and all that. That's the actual emotion in it. But love is not even always, I don't want to say positive or negative, but like always positive in that sense. Sometimes love is long suffering. It's like knowing, just like I believe in you or whatever, and so I'm actively doing this because I love you or because I see this, and that's an act of love. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. It may not always feel good. I'm not gonna say it doesn't feel good to love, but like sometimes that is the case, you know, because it could be, like I said, one of those moments where it's long suffering, it's patience, and it could be a little uncomfortable in those moments, but that still doesn't take away from the act itself, you know?
I feel like love is a combination of both, you know, because like Kyle was saying, with the energy of love has the emotion attached to it, right? Because everything is interconnected, at least my perception of it. Everything in the universe is interconnected. So it can't be an individual energy. Something has to be attached to it, right? Whether it's through mental aspects or heartfelt aspects, right? It's still an emotion attached to it. But like Ife was saying, love is not always positive. Love
Yeah.
is like, you know, comes with negative situations sometimes that help you overcome certain emotions, overcome certain traumas in your life to learn how to love unconditionally. You know, and you speaking to someone being a Virgo again, I break people down meticulously, right? And that stopped me from loving unconditionally because I'm sitting here trying to calculate everything that you feel. I'm trying to calculate your energy every second of the day, and it's taking me out of the present moment of unconditionally loving that person. So that's something I had to break myself from. The emotion of feeling if I don't figure out what this person mentality is, what a motive is, I'm gonna be disappointed. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the negative aspects of love. And the positive aspects is every time I see your eyes, my eyes light up. Every time I see your smile, it just brightens up my day. So it's a balance of masculine, feminine, a balance of hate and joy. You feel me? That all interconnects into this energy of love. And once you have that love, then you start to reciprocate that love through the actions. So Fuka, I would say it's a balance of being in the emotion and the action at the same time and balancing out a sense of yourself, your left and your right side of your brain.
Okay.
I agree.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's hear from Rex, you know, and Cecilia. Come on, Rex.
Let's go.
Okay. Okay. Now ask the question again, because I'm trying to make sure I say the right
You
shit.
know, okay. So, what you call this? Is love an emotion or is love an action?
Well, really, I mean, really, it's both. It's undefined because you got to remember. See, anytime we talk about abstract subjects like that, it's really up to how you interpret it. Me, I believe both of them can. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm not gonna really do nothing without that feeling first. A lot of time, if I can help it. You know what I'm talking about? If I'm not like, but then, are we talking about romantic love or just love overall?
We're just talking because what you call it's like what I was saying is that what I learned from romanticism, that love is an emotion, but then what you call this I heard that song, that said love is a doing word, love is a verb, love is something that what you call this is a doing. So it's just your perspective on love in general. You can make that distinction, between romantic love and love in general. You
Well,
can do
yeah.
that.
Well, in romantic love, yeah, yeah. I mean, like certain people have like certain things that they're not gonna do unless they are in love with somebody. Like how some people won't even have sex with you if you're not in a relationship with them. You know what I'm talking about? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like when it comes to like love in general, for me, I'm not primarily that big on that. Like I was when I was younger. You know what I'm talking about? Now the primary thing for me is respect and devotion. You know what I'm talking about? Because thing about it is loyalty, you can still do whatever and love somebody. I know people who love their man and love their women and cheat like a mug. And listen, and if they partner cheat, they be crushed. I'm like, what? Yeah, so really love, like what I feel like everybody should go for more is loyalty and devotion because that's where you're gonna get the most fulfillment from. But love as a romanticized way, that should be fleeting a lot of time. That's why everybody come to harsh realizations. You know what I'm talking about? But they still have hope to try to find it. But the reality is like romanticism. Once that die out, you know what I'm talking about? Because you can be in a relationship without the romanticism. I think a lot of people go into it thinking it's gonna stay like that. So it's like after that shit die off, then what do you have? Y'all need to have devotion, and that's something that's higher than love. You know what I'm talking about? So that's how I really feel about love, though.
If I can clarify, because I think that love is like an energy, like I was saying, but I don't think that love is neither an action nor an emotion, but it inspires that or it influences that. You know what I'm saying? So it'll either inspire you to do certain things for that person out of that love, or it'll influence certain actions or what I'm saying, emotions to come. You feel me? But I think that love itself isn't just action. It's not any of these things. It just influences those things to happen.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Ashe.
It's kind of like real romantic relationship. Let's put a different aspect of doing something you love, whether that's career, whether that's your life purpose. When you're doing something you love, you have passion, and that passion ignites, and that creates a spark, and that spark then creates what? Happiness. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, what you call this, I love that, because that now brings us in, because we speak about self-loving a lot, what you call this. And I remember last time we spoke about loving yourself being a for sort of protection. Okay, go on, Gia. Oh yes, Gia hasn't spoken. Go on, Gia. Go on.
Going back to some of what you guys are saying, you're making distinctions between romantic love and just, I guess, love in general. So there are different kinds of love. We know that. We have the romantic, the eros. We have the friendship love, the familiar, the unconditional, the playful, the enduring, the self-love, and I don't know about the obsessive love. I don't know if that's... All right. Those are the different kinds of love. Now, saying if it's a action thing or a feeling thing, right? Is it something that you feel, emotion, or is it something that you, when it comes specifically, because this is about relationships we're talking about, right? We're talking about sexuality.
No, I'm just talking about love in general, I'm just talking about love.
So I'll distinguish between the two. So regular in general, right? So there is an unconditional love. That doesn't require me to necessarily feel. It does actually. I have to feel that thing. That is genuine. You have to feel. That comes from the heart space. That unconditional love comes from your heart space. That's your heart chakra, being open to all things and all people. Unconditional. Now, when people say unconditional, that they take that to mean you can do anything to me and I'm gonna be in your face. That's a lie straight from the pits of hell. That's not how that works. I can love you unconditionally and say you need to get out of my space. Exactly. But I love you. Peace be with you. I don't want no harm to come to you. But the day is over that me and you will engage.
Right.
Hallelujah. That is done. That, you know what I mean? And that's fine. That's that. I still love that person in that I don't wish them harm. I want to see them prosper. I understand that we are connected in all ways. Period. Always. We are connected, all of us. That's unconditional love.
Exactly.
So that one doesn't require you to do anything but to open up that heart chakra and be in that space and understand it. Now, when it comes to romantic love, right? Is it an action thing or is it an emotional thing? It is a combination of the two, like most of you guys were saying, because you have to feel that, yes. But that doesn't mean that you're going to feel that always. You know, you can be in a relationship with someone and literally be in hate. I hate this man. Work my damn on them. But I'm gonna go cook him something to eat. Why? Because I love him. I want him to not die of starvation. You know what I mean? I will still take care of him. You know what I mean? So it's a combination of both things. And that whole fleeting thing that Rex talked about is that, remember that early stage that most people go through? That, oh my God. He's so amazing. And and all of that nice, that does not last always. Like that comes and goes. Because like everything else, there's an ebb and flow of things. If you put in the work of it. Now, if you don't put in the work, it goes and never finna come back. If you put in the work, it goes and then it comes back. And then it goes and then it comes back. What stays is your, like he said, devotion. What stays is your loyalty. What stays is your commitment. And those, to me, those devotion and those are decisions. Now, I don't know where decision falls. Does that fall in emotion? No, that falls in you taking action. You're saying, I am going to do. I've made the choice to do is a choice. So love to me is a combination, not necessarily between action and emotion. It's a choice and what you feel.
Beautiful.
So that's my response.
Poetic snaps to that.
Beautiful. 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 I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and then you were mentioning also the
yes.
We were talking.
So my thing is, right, there's no deal breakers when it comes to that. Like, you know what I mean? When you say you love a person, because I know a lot of people say they fall out of love. You feel what I'm saying? But since we're speaking on it in that way, is it any like deal breakers when it comes to love? Do you still love that person after they do certain things?
If you really love somebody, I think that you just, it's just like I said, I think that we're confusing love with the emotion. And if the emotion is that I feel this way because I feel that way, or I have this opinion about this, but love itself isn't of that. It just inspires a certain emotion to come or a certain action to be had, or because you love that person, I'm going to take an action to do so. But that doesn't make that love. That just means that I'm doing this because I love you and I'm in that energy with you. Right. So I just feel like if you feel like you're falling out of, you can fall out of the emotion of that person, but if you love that person, you love that person. And that's just what you feel me. The energy is like, hey, if that person got hit by a car today, I would be bawling my eyes out. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a genuine love for you. I have an unconditional love. I love you where you're at. I understand you're not perfect, but your imperfection is not in alignment with where I'm trying to go with my life or how I want to be treated or whatever. But that doesn't take away the fact that I wish you the love that you desire. I wish you genuine support. You know what I'm saying? You don't hate them at all. You're just like, I love you for your flaws and all, but your flaws are not, you know what I'm saying? I just can't, do that, but that doesn't take away.
Right.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. You know what you call it? So essentially, making the choice to be committed is love. Making the choice to be devoted is love. Making the choice to be loyal is love. You know what you call this? Making a choice.
I would rather say it's because you love. You make the choice to be faithful because of love, not that it is love. It's because you love, because that frequency and that love is there. But it's not love itself though. It just inspires. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
It's like loving, learning somebody's love language.
Right. So there's not a different frequency of types of love. Love is just is. It's love is it is, right? But there's different ways we can perceive certain, you know what I'm saying? There's
Or
different
even
ways
express it. Yeah.
we can move
Okay.
that energy. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can't say, well, I got this sexual energy, and there's a whole different type of different sexual. Like, no, the sexual energy is sexual energy, but you transmute that energy, or you alter that energy in different ways, but the energy is still the same.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
across the board.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
love is love, no matter what it is, however you tap into it, but it just is. But because you love, it inspires you to want to be faithful. Because you love, it inspires you to make that choice to respect that person and hope them and wish them the best because of that frequency of love, not that it is love itself.
That's true.
Hey, that's
I
right.
say,
Because love,
you just ain't gonna let
Okay.
me
love
answer
will make you
nothing.
do some wild shit. You feel me? So
She just gonna
Okay.
say it all.
Right? I ain't got nothing to say. I'm
I
just
was like, she ain't gonna let us answer nothing. You just gotta say put all the sauce on there. It ain't no room. All the
right.
sauce is on her.
I'm just chilling, you know.
But I
I
can
just put my
say,
little
you know,
sprinkle
for
on
that,
there.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Beautiful.
1000%. You know, because I got to
Beautiful. Beautiful.
piggyback off of that to say people do crazy shit when it come to love too. Like you love somebody, you know what I mean, but you know they love to drive you so crazy where you go to drag on them, maybe because you ain't feeling love. You know what I
You
mean?
gotta feel
Or
loving yourself.
That's what that's what I was
yeah,
gonna
or you
say.
go
That's
do
just an imbalance. It's an imbalance.
or
Right.
or some toxic shit like bust their windows out.
Oh
Or
Yeah,
God.
you know what I mean? Because of
But
this, because of
That's
that.
is
trauma.
that
Like
love?
that's an
you
imbalance.
feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But love
But
making
is
them do
that love
that. You feel what
though?
I'm saying?
But
Love
it
making them
becomes
do that.
obsessive due to the imbalance.
Yes,
It's
Right.
still love, but you need to
Infatuation. That's what that is.
exactly like
That's
I
infatuation.
agree. I agree. So I think I agree with that because it would be love, but because of the distorted vessel
exactly. It
in the way that, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, as we know, there energy is flowing through us all the time. But if you have a blocked heart, you know, a blocked chakra, you know what I'm saying, it gets all distorted, right? It's the same thing with the energy of love. And if your vessel and your perception of life is distorted, that energy of love can't properly flow through you.
mhm.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
So it's gonna like try
Or
to
it's gonna alter your perception of it.
alter it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I love what you guys said. You know, that actually kind of brings me to my next question. You know, what you call this? So now when we're coming into the realm of self-love, you know, coming into the realm of self-love, you know what you call this, and I guess you know what you call this. I want to hear from each of you. You know what you call this, like what self-love means to you. You know, and then I also want to hear. I also want to ask a question that, you know, if someone does not love themselves, can they really love another? Can you give something that which you don't have? Oh yeah, but yeah, just if someone does not love themselves, can they really love another?
They can
But you
love,
know,
but they can't
To a
love
certain extent.
properly.
Right.
okay,
yeah, I think I'm
Kat, go
Validation outside
let's start
themselves.
it on the first question. Oh, you're saying something, Ife?
me.
No, who was speaking?
I think
No,
well,
that ain't
I
me.
think we were all kind of
Oh,
speaking.
Cecilia,
We were all talking.
go on, Cecilia. Tell me what does self-love to mean to you?
Self-love is
Which one?
honoring yourself, honoring both masculine and feminine aspects in yourself, and not needing that validation outside of self.
Okay, awesome. And do you think that you can love another if you don't love yourself?
To a certain extent.
Okay,
Because if
awesome.
you're not loving yourself in whole and you're loving another person, then sometimes you would not have boundaries, or sometimes you will mold yourself into what you believe that other person wants to see in you. And so you're not honoring yourself, you're not being authentic, you're not living in your truth. So to a certain extent.
Okay, awesome.
I think that self-love is just, you know, the foundation of self-love is self-compassion. You know what I'm saying? Not being so, you know, harsh on yourself. You know, and when you and then we go from self compassion to self-acceptance and accepting yourself where you're at right now, and not having so many judgmental thoughts of yourself, and allowing yourself that space to grow and evolve and learn like a child. Because that's really what it is. It's like this is like an adult playground. And we can't, we find ourselves, hating ourselves because we're not like other people. And this is where, we're comparing ourselves to everybody else and what we should be doing or what we should look like or how we, I'm saying, all of these different things that we're trying to keep up with. And when you love yourself, you basically accept yourself as a unique being, that you're different, that you're, process things different. There's nobody on this earth that's walking like you, that can articulate things the way that you do, that can speak the way that you do, and just understanding that you deserve to, have a safe space somewhere, and that somewhere is within you.
Right.
And creating that safe space within yourself, that's self-love, because you give yourself room to make yourself evolve. You give yourself room to, be angry from time to time, but you're not judgmental. You're not judgmental, and you allow yourself to, analyze and become aware of self enough to grow and evolve. You feel me? And I just feel like if you don't have those things, and you don't have the self-awareness, you don't have the compassion for yourself, you don't have the acceptance of self, and you're looking outside of yourself for validation, you're going to get somebody that's going to reflect back everything that you're not giving yourself, right? And you know what I'm saying? So they're going to give you they're going to give you exactly what you're giving yourself. And if you're not giving yourself those things, you're going to find someone who's going to be just as harsh on you as you are on yourself.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when it comes to, can you love someone? Can you truly still love someone if you don't love yourself? Yeah, but it's going to be toxic. Because if you're toxic within yourself and to yourself, the person that you're going to accept and the person that you think you're worthy of is going to remind you of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say that to me, self-love is all the things that you just said, as well as on top of being a direct reflection, like you said, of how you're loving your own self. So like you said, yeah, you can love another if you don't. I won't say if you don't love yourself. I'll just say you can love someone to the capacity of what you're loving yourself, but whether you even love them that much is a choice, because you can have a capacity to love them here, but still only love them down here. But you can only love as much as your capacity is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that comes in all aspects of relationships, not just romantic.
Yes.
I had this
Exactly.
conversation with my father a year ago or 2 years ago when he lost his father, my grandfather. And my dad opened up to me. He was like, I wish he was just a better father. And I'm like, you know what, Dad? He was only able to love you at the capacity he was able to love himself.
That's perfect.
Because maybe he didn't have that upbringing from his parent, and so it trickled down. And yes, she was a better father than him, and yes, I'm learning to be, a better mother to my children. But and he's like, I never looked at it like that. So
yeah, and that's the same thing of what you will accept as well, because when you're depending on where you're at with yourself, that's what you're going to accept. And if somebody comes in a space of themselves, of self-love and honor and stuff like that, you're not going to feel worthy of that anyways. So you're going to
sabotage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you don't honor yourself. But when you start to love yourself and you honor yourself and you show yourself compassion and you tend to yourself, you're like loving, you know what I'm saying? You do all of those things for yourself. You know what it's like when somebody comes around and they're not doing the inner work that you're doing.
Somebody will
yourself.
call you cocky.
Yeah, and you'll push them away. And but like we were talking, like you mentioned earlier, Fuka, is that self-love is your protection against lower vibration, like toxic relationships, toxic connections. Because if you're not toxic to yourself, what makes you think you're going to accept something toxic?
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah, no, that's not where I'm at.
Setting the bar high. You set the bar high for the outsiders. Like if I wouldn't do it for myself, why would I accept it from you? Come on now.
It's natural. It happens naturally. When you truly love yourself and you honor yourself, it's just like, okay, but you're naturally going to gravitate towards people who can who reflect that back to you. So, because I even noticed for myself, like, for instance, back in the day when I was younger and I was doing whatever the hell, people were like, oh, you bad, or you look good, or whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? It was just like all of this, but, it was like the type of people that would come approach me, right? But when I switched my energy and I started to tap into truly loving myself and honoring myself, caring myself, I emanate a different energy. I don't get people getting at me like that.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
right. That admiration.
Opening my door. I don't get disrespect. I don't get
I'm
disrespect.
telling you.
I'm
It's a
telling you.
frequency thing. That's why people say like you can't fake it. It's either there or it's not. Because I experienced the same thing. Being a child, having all this vulgar things happen around me and all that, like you said, started healing, started reparenting my inner child, all that stuff. And then now it's like, no, I don't get flooded inboxes of
That part.
I don't get random look, I was gonna say no random unwanted pictures like that. I don't get none of that.
No, but yeah,
none of that. Because they already know what it is. They know, like, if I'm gonna come, I gotta come correct, or I'm gonna just stay out the way. Exactly.
That energy, that frequency is like bug repellent in the middle of the forest. You ain't gonna, you can't.
We gonna see it regardless. Like, really.
You know what I'm saying? And if they try to come, they're gonna come correct. It's not gonna be, oh, like, you look good, baby girl. Like,
right.
It's like, hey, goddess, hey, divine, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, queen. That's what it is. Versus back in the day, to where it was like, oh, you bad, like, you know, very like
yelling from across the street. Hey, hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Yelling at me.
You realize you literally, when you, it's all about, because this is the thing, like I made the other day, or a post I made the other day. You'll know what type of frequency that you're on by what you actually accept. You know, we're going to attract a whole bunch of things. We're going to attract the bad, the ugly, it don't matter. But what you accept, you're like, oh, let me give you some time. And you get to know that person. You find out, oh, you're kind of like everybody else. And you continue to deal with this person. You find yourself, and then you really find out who they are. And they're just toxic. And we're like, okay, maybe you should take a look at what you just accepted, because that's what's going to show you. Not just,
and that's where accountability comes in.
Exactly.
Instead of, now when you did, okay, now what in me made me accept that?
Exactly.
Because something wasn't right.
Man,
something needs reflecting.
Yeah, so I would love to hear Gia's perspective too.
On what well, you guys already said it. You know, it's valuing yourself, right? And recognizing and accepting yourself fully. That means accepting all things about yourself, accepting who you are, accepting what your quote unquote flaws or your imperfections and stuff like that. Accepting yourself fully, knowing and understanding yourself fully. It's taking care of yourself, self-care, setting boundaries, positive self-talk. The thing that irks me though, I'm gonna say it. The thing that irks me is when people who don't know how far I've come when it comes to self-love come and tell me that I'm harsh on myself. You don't know what harsh is if you think today's Tamara, today's Gia is harsh. You have no idea how far I've come. Let me embrace where I am here. Don't tell me and try to tell me about myself when it comes to let me figure out my self-love.
Right.
I'm on this journey for as long as I'm here and beyond. Let me do that. But when you come trying to, and I know it probably comes from good places, but don't do that, because I have come so far when it comes to that. You know, there's been my main thing has always been, I guess, undervaluing myself in that, you know how people, and I still struggle with the compliments, still struggle when people be like, oh, you good at this, and I will downplay it. Somebody be like, oh, girl, you did that, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm just like, it's all right, it's cool. You know, I'm not good with it, but I'm working on it. I'm much better today than I was yesterday. So when somebody be like, oh, you did it, and I'm like, sir, you don't know what.
Yeah.
Or shut up. You know what I mean? Let me live. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's taking care of yourself, understanding yourself, setting boundaries, hallelujah, setting boundaries, hallelujah. And then it's also, Ife touched on it a little bit, having the accountability. Because you're right, what you accept, you have to look and see why you're accepting BS from people, why you're accepting things that tell you that doesn't align with what you want and what you are. You know, why it is these things come into your reality, and accept the fact that you have called or accept that thing into your life. So it's all of those things, you know what I mean?
And accountability is a huge one, because you know, you can have the compassion for yourself, but without that accountability, there's no growth. And because
I was getting ready to say that too.
We have to
go through the same loop.
Yeah, we got to be 100% down to like that's where the compassion comes in, and understanding and accepting yourself and knowing that you're not perfect. And now, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck up. That's how we learn. That's how we've been learning since the moment we came out the womb. So what we think, you know what I'm saying? That's how we get it right, And so I feel like, having that accountability and being authentic and real and where you're at, not trying to paint a picture of where you're trying to be. Like, no, let's stay right here in the present moment. And like, hey, this is what it is. I don't care if you're homeless on the street. You want to evolve. Like this is where I'm at. I'm fucked up in the head and this, that, and the third, but this is where I'm going to build from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to have that accountability to even move to the next level. So, tapping into that love for self.
Again, took the words out of my mouth. Because I was going to touch on that because I heard so much acceptance, but
yes,
you still have to have accountability, even within yourself, accepting certain things, or you're going to change it so you don't have that same loop.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the compassion comes in to because that reality check can be hard. That accountability could be hard, and that's where the compassion comes in. Like, all right, I might, it's going to be a tough battle. I might, again, we might have to do the same thing over and over. But the more that you are aware that you're continuously making the same choice, is the same moment that you are evolving enough to recognize it, for one, and for two. Have the ability to change it. And so once you're aware of it and you have the ability to change it, and then you start trying to change it, it might take a little while for that actually to integrate, because it's going to take a while for you to reprogram the mind to, shift gears.
Right.
And it's not going to look, it's not a one size fit all thing. It's not going to look the same for everyone. I think that's also going back to what I was saying, is that people expect that self-love looks one kind of way. My way of loving myself is not going to look the same way as Kai, as Ife, as Crandell, as Fuka, as Cecilia. It's just not. It's because I'm an individual being. I have what works for me, and it works for me, and you guys have what works for you guys. Some people really need, spa days. That's their, that's their thing. That's their way of. I don't like a whole bunch of people touching me all the time. I just don't. I don't that's not what does it for me. You know what I mean? Or Kai, she likes to go out next to the water and whatever. That's what works for her or whatever. And me, it's something different. And we have to be willing to accept that it's not going to look the same.
It's not going to.
And that's helpful to understand and know, because when we don't know that, then we're looking at somebody else and going, oh, they must really love themselves more than me because I don't do those things. Or in that comparison thing happening, or somebody
take all that judgment out.
Comparison thing happen, or someone comes to you and be like, you don't love yourself well enough. You need to love yourself. Shut up.
And if there's two sides to self-love, and we have the internal and external, so it's a combination of. You have to have a good, because you can do all these affirmations and this, that, and the third, but without you getting out there and actually proving to yourself and showing yourself externally. Love yourself, it really is going to throw everything off balance. So you need that balance in both ways.
So Gia, just tell them your way of showing self-love is smacking people. You know what I'm saying? And I think they might get the picture. It might work. I'm saying, don't promote violence. No violence.
My number one way of loving myself is honoring how I feel, being authentic. Because I don't want to betray myself. I found myself for most of my life betraying myself constantly. So I don't have time. I'm not going to focus on all the foo-foo things. That's not where my core issues are. My core issues is betraying myself. So while someone else is looking at something else and saying, oh, you're not doing this. Okay, great. I'll get to that. Let me fix this one here. Because this is major in my life. You know what I mean? This has been major in my life. Let me fix it. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. So it's not about no SmackDown. I got time for SmackDown.
Just one good. It get their mind right. It's needed. Balance. It's balance. It's balance.
It is true. Legit. Sometimes you gotta go to war to create peace.
You feel me? It always gotta be smacking. I done smacked plenty without even touching it.
That part.
These eyes can do some things. I ain't gotta say nothing. Just telepathically slapped it.
Exactly.
You know?
Reminds me of that Ludacris song. I feel like
You can take it another way. Go ahead, pull that candle out and carve something in it.
No. What? No.
Listen, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
We
that.
won't do that. We're not doing that. We ain't doing workings against people,
All right,
Lord.
we ain't doing that.
We ain't doing workings against folks.
He said we ain't doing no candles. We ain't putting nobody in jars. Nobody's going in freezers. We're not doing none of it.
Hey, I'm just
I feel
saying,
like
man.
if you out here just solving every problem with the
Malcolm
candle
X
work.
said any means necessary, man.
No.
He said it's up. It's up and it's stuck.
No. That's so much energy you're giving that person. They must mean a lot to you to sit there and waste 10, 15, 20 minutes doing working against
What if
people.
they keep sending it at you though? You be like, all right, boom.
If they keep attacking
evil eyed it.
That's different.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, because
I'm gonna look at him like a fan. I'm like, you so fixated on me.
I know,
Must be nice to have all this time to look at other people because I can't look at nobody else. I'm looking at me. Shit. That must be, you know what I'm saying? Such an admirer.
All right, so we get to slap them, but we can't do that.
No, I mean, I'm gonna say this: if you got somebody,
I think you can do both. No, I'm just playing.
No, but look, I mean, if you got somebody consistently throwing magic and doing spell work on you, eventually, you gotta clap back. You're justified.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, because we got people out here that are doing this shit frivolously, and then anytime they
messing with your kids,
feel some type of way,
telling you.
and it's gonna hit. It's gonna swing its way back, regardless.
There's a difference between clapping back, because that's a loose term, right? There's a difference between protecting yourself, returning things to sender, and actively doing works against people.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts.
There's differences there, and we have to make that distinction. Whatever you put out. I don't care what happened to you. Whatever you put out,
exactly.
Understand that it will return.
Yes, tell the people that.
Happening to you, gotta go somewhere. Don't do it to nobody. Period.
But if you prepared to take the consequences, do it. No, I'm just playing.
That's your business.
Just know they coming with it.
Right.
Don't be surprised now. You smack somebody and then
I was just
2 years down the line they smack you.
I was just saying that to say, like, you know what I mean, throughout my journey, because every day is a journey. The journey never ends. When you really step into self-awareness and self-love, it's easier to kind of like catch those things because everything just shifts a certain way, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
you're saying
you can literally feel when somebody throwing some shit at you now.
Oh yeah, you absolutely can, especially as when you're filtering out when you're transcending your ego and you're not your own worst enemy, and you can tell when your energy. You absolutely know that. I literally feel like my energy is being tugged and pulled in a different direction, and I know instantly when somebody's either getting a reading on me or they're putting spell work on me. Period. When you're that in with yourself and you are understanding of your own energy and your reality, you're gonna end there. You gonna know the minute that motherfucker pull a card or light the candle. Period.
I'm glad you said that because you made me think of something I was holding on. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say it real fast. When we were talking about self-love, I was going to say, to me, self-love is knowing your own energy too. You know what I'm saying? For that exact reason.
That man, loving yourself, knowing thyself is your protection.
Yes, knowing your energy.
Because if you don't know yourself, you're giving everybody the opportunity to tell you who you are.
Real talk. And that's good or bad. Even if it is some bad or some toxic shit. Yeah, that was me,
Yeah, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Because when you're talking about spell work, what do you think they're going after? Your weaknesses. So if you're not even yourself and you're not
you're going in blind.
It's gonna drag you to hell and back.
Right.
You haven't even learned to cope with your own trauma or your own shadow. So it's like when we talk about psychic attacks, where do you think it's going? It's going straight for your trauma.
It's funny.
So you can mute that energy if you want to.
It's funny you said that, because when I married myself, a lot of energy was pulled out of me, and it was painful, like literally on a physical level. I'm not talking about just spiritually. Like, it felt like somebody was ripping out my insides, my intestines, and I'm like, what's going on? And I just had to take it, like. And then after that, I was like, my life changed like drastically. Like, before, relationship, and now I went out on a date and it's something that he said when we were sitting there talking in Starbucks. He was just like, he said something about the future, and he was like, yeah, you're going to miss out because you're not going to be there. So he already knew that I wasn't going on second date. Like, this wasn't going nowhere. Like, my energy was on wipe me down. Like, I could tell if you for me, if you're not for me. And I was also tested in ways, like you was talking about acceptance. And another part of the acceptance of not just, closing off or like not closing off, but protecting yourself is being open. And so the universe is like, okay, you want this perfect relationship that you manifested, right? What I'm in now. Let's test you to see how acceptance you are into, like, accepting help. I was real bad with that one, accepting help. Like, I was just really more in my masculine bag. Like, I don't need no help. I got this shit. Like, whatever. And so, like, loving myself, you have to be open, allow, right? Allow love to come in, allow acceptance. So I was at the grocery store, and I was in the parking lot, and this gentleman, this older gentleman, was like, you need some help? I almost said, no, I got it. And I something clicked, like, this was a test. And I'm like, I said, sure, yeah, I'll take some help. That was like a test to see where I was at as far as allowing or, having acceptance to, receiving that help, no matter where it comes from. So that's a part of self-love as well.
Yep. Yeah, you just like people, and it's just, you just gotta be, the key to it all is being aware.
Mm-hmm.
The key to it all is just being aware, because you like just that self-love, being aware, it's your protection, literally. And I say that because there's a lot of things I wouldn't have been aware of if I didn't choose to take this path to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
It literally opens your eyes to a lot of shit. It opens, what I'm saying? Like I was saying, like when you choose to do the inner work and you choose to acknowledge all aspects of who you are and accept all aspects of who you are, good and bad, flaws and all, right and wrong, nobody can tell you nothing, and nobody can use your flaws or your insecurities or your downfalls against you, because you've already come into it accepting those things. Right? And then when you do that, it raises your vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when your vibration rises, it's so much easier to feel the energy of other people and where they're at within themselves. Because we're all reflections of each other. Because we're all one, all connected. So you're gonna either you're gonna be able to tap into their own energy to an extent, you know what I'm saying, and just be able to feel things so much more clearly. If I'm making sense, if I'm saying that right. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's hard to explain, but I know that, like, as I've done the work and I've been doing the shadow work, it's a journey. It's not linear. I'm constantly going to deeper depths of myself. But I find it so much easier and clearer to see you and see other people. Yeah. So you can't get past anything past me, because my wounds are not in the driver's seat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you learn to love yourself while being in a
relationship.
relationship.
I was gonna say I like that question.
Yeah, I like that question too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel you can, only because the way I view relationships in general, and that's not just romantic ones, it's friendships too. It's just any type of connection, that they literally are reflections of yourself. And how I view them now is like, I can do shadow work, I can do work on myself by myself, but the most effective growth that happened for me was when I connected with someone, because maybe my ego was too much in the way for me to actually identify or accept it. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I just generally didn't see it because I'm active in this. You're on the outside seeing it from another perspective. And I would also say that if the person you're dating is also aware, you know what I'm saying, and it has compassion and patience and all that. Because if they don't have that, it's like, I mean, they could be reflecting some stuff, but they don't know what to do with it, and they don't, they may not know how to deliver to you and all that. But I do feel like you can learn to love yourself by having someone that is willing to reflect those things in a healthy and positive way. And then you take those as positive feedback. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so I know these things about myself. Let me take this with me, because you should still be doing shadow work, even in a relationship. It doesn't stop. And then you take that, and the times where you feeling away during them full moons, or you getting a little emotional, things resurfacing. Okay, I got my feedback. Let me go ahead and work on this, and then you'll see those things start to also reflect in your partner. You might see things improving and all that, because now that work is being done internally. But it helps having that reflection
without trying to fix that other person.
Yeah, but you see, none of that had nothing to do with you. Hey, you didn't know. You pointed something out that you observed from me. I took that and I did what I need to do with it.
Right.
You know.
Another thing, like in one of our lives, we were talking about how, and I forgot, maybe it was me, you, and Cecilia, BG and Cecilia, one of our lives, and we were talking about how relationships are like you go into these relationships to discover new aspects of yourself, because you can only go so far on this journey alone. Before you need a connection to reflect those things back to you. You can't. It's you know how easy it is. How we ever get to that point in our journey to where like I'm good, I feel good, I'm in my prime. I'm like, saying nobody can tell me nothing. You feel me? Then you finally get yourself in a connection, and then all of these wounds start popping up.
Like,
your soul is like, I
thought that was gone.
You feel me? So it's just like
somehow I feel naked.
Yeah, because you
rubbing the hands like birds.
On everything, because it's easy to be by yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Securities love it. Because there's nobody to sit here and trigger you or reflect that shit back to you.
Yeah.
Healing work never ends.
Of course
you
do.
here in this physical body.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't even want to get into relationships because they don't want to be reflected back to them. They don't want to deal with themselves.
Right.
So be happy. I ain't been in a relationship 12 years.
They got into a relationship
and actually, I think it's self-sabotaging to believe that you have to wait till you're tremendously healed or 100% healed to get to a connection. If you feel called and connected to that person, or
if someone says that to me, that's a red flag.
Do it like the church. Come as you are. That's right. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm goofy. I'll stay practicing.
I love it. It's a raw conversation. There ain't no filter here.
I promise you.
Put the church hat on.
Yes, but I think that it's a beautiful thing to be able to share a journey with somebody who's conscious enough to be able to heal with
beautiful
and give you that too. That's what you call a divine connection.
Yes.
But even let's not even just say that we have, because there's, like you said, there's different kinds of relationships. Karmic relationships teach you a whole lot.
They sure do. I was just gonna say that.
Relationships teach you a whole lot. There's different kinds of relationship, and each one has specific things that they're supposed to teach you and show you about yourself, so that you can evolve and so you can grow. All of those, every relationship on this planet, your children show you about yourself. You learn about yourself. You know what I mean? So all relationships have the potential to show you about yourself and help you to learn and grow and evolve. Without them
stop avoiding people.
Know it. It has nothing to do. They don't have to know. They don't have to come to be, hey, Tia, did you know this about? They don't got to say nothing. Just the dynamic. Just the interaction. Just that is the stuff that you need. Like, I wonder why. Now you gotta be conscious enough or intentional to ask yourself though. When I do that why did I respond that way? Where that came from exactly?
What was it?
Ask yourself, hey, why did I respond that way?
Oh yes.
Why is this irking me?
Yeah.
I want, this didn't.
Those are the questions.
What did it start? Just yourself. That's how you do that shadow work, right? That's how you do it. Asking yourself those questions. They are necessary. But that's with every relationship.
I agree. All relationships, and if we're talking about spirituality, there is no coincidence about anything. If somebody pops up in your reality and you choose to accept that into your reality, that person was, like there's a lesson there for you, or there's something for you to learn, or whatever the case may be. But you take that experience and you stay in the present moment. You learn what you need to learn, and you get what you need to get out of that situation. And you keep going. But all connections, all relationships absolutely do teach you something. So even the karmic ones, the toxic ones, because again, they're all initiations to push you to love yourself for one.
Yeah.
Because
once you learn the lesson from the relationship, then you can move on. We're talking about karma.
Yeah, exactly. To the next phase.
If not,
you got to get out the loop first.
No, but yeah, for real, because you know, if you look back at your own situations, you know what I'm saying? Like there, man, you know, you look back at your life and you see those toxic connections that you were in, and you learn, you realize, you get, you know what I'm saying? There is no wisdom without experience, right? Most people who have the most wisdom, like who have an incredible amount of wisdom, usually go through the darkest moments or go through the darkest
Oh
times,
yeah.
the most toxic experiences. So we have to understand, like those are like diamond experiences that you have in reality, spiritual reality. You know what I'm saying? Consciously, those experiences are those ones that really transform your life. It help you evolve and ascend to different levels of consciousness, into higher perspectives, you know, different, you know, gives you epiphanies and all of these different types of things about self. Now, what you choose to do with that in that moment is up to you. But
Right.
you'll absolutely get a lot of realizations. We just tend to brush them and suppress them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. This was a good conversation.
Yes.
Awesome conversation. I'm super
Globalization, yeah.
for all of the things that we've discussed tonight. You know, I thank you all for joining us and tapping in with us. Those of you who sent your beautiful comments, we appreciate you guys tremendously. Be sure that you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you know when we come on again. And we plan on doing a lot more panels. So stay tuned. If you have topics you want to see us cover, like send us the, you know, messages, hit the comment section, whatever, DM us, you know where to find us, you know, and we'll check them out, you know, for sure.
Yes, and then make sure, again, like she said, you guys subscribe on YouTube. We also have a Facebook on, we have Kozmic Konnectionz page here on Facebook, and if you guys enjoyed our conversation, you guys tapped in with us, make sure you guys leave a review if you guys are have time. But other than that, we thank you guys for your presence and just being here, tapping in with us. And wait for the next conversation. Again, for all sponsorships and any services that were here in the commercial today, they'll all be in the description box. So again, you guys make sure to tap in with us again next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, peace, y'all.